Alright, so today I want to go over a game of StarCraft 2 that's been on my mind for about a week and a half or 2 weeks or so. This is a game of Terran versus Zerg that was recently played at Home Story Cup, and when I was commentating the game live, I thought it was a bit of a meme. However, I was casting it together with Raynor and Lambo, some of the highest level Zerg players that we have in StarCraft 2, and they mentioned, no Loko, you're wrong. This game is not actually a meme, it's a legitimate strategy. And apparently it turns out uThermal thinks it's the best strategy for this map, and it may very well be his current best build. Now it's been on my mind because it's a bit of a ridiculous one. You know the unit that's known by the name of the Reaper? I mean, generally speaking, we see maybe 1 or 2 Reapers being used in Terran vs Zerg for scouting purposes. However, in this game, uThermal doesn't just make 1 or 2, he makes a whole lot more than that. And I think this is actually more Reapers than I've ever seen in any pro game, period. So we're watching it on a bit of a faster pace here just because he's going to repeat the same strategy over and over and over again. Regardless though, while indeed he's microing the Reapers, let me have a quick look right here at his natural. So the way that this game started off is with a depot right here on the low ground, and then uThermal basically walled in his natural using a couple of these barracks and then using another supply depot as well so he can expand easily behind. Now what he's going to do in this game is go for upgraded Reapers and continuously add on more and more of them as well. Now obviously the reason why this strategy actually works really well for him is because he's got some of the best Terran micro in the world. And Reapers in a way are kind of similar to, like, for example, like look at this for example, right? He's trying to get this around, but he runs around and he micros and throws the grenades in a way such as that the Zerglings are gonna have to back off. Anyways, Reapers in a way are kind of similar to, for example, Stalkers, right? Stalkers in StarCraft 2, technically speaking on paper, also have an unlimited amount of micro potential. However, obviously, since we're human, right? At least the majority of us, I'm assuming. I don't know how many robots watch these videos, or how many animals, I suppose. I mean, I've seen photos of people watching my videos with their cat or their dog. But anyways, the thing is, microing a Reaper perfectly is extremely difficult, right? Microing this unit perfectly, especially against fast-moving units, like, for example, Zerglings, it's very difficult to do. So the real counter that I've personally found, generally speaking, to people that go for heavy Reaper play is Queens and Zerglings, obviously, but then also Creep Spread. Creep Spread is absolutely critical. Now, if I'll pause right here for just a little bit, right? This is the point during the commentary where I'm like, okay, so uThermal has done a little bit of damage here in the early game. He's dealt a little bit of damage here and there. I mean, resources lost. Yeah, he got a little bit of value out of the Reapers. But this is the point where he should transition, right? And Lambo and Raynor both disagreed immediately. They're like, no, you should never do that if you're a Terran in this position. You should really just continue making more and more Reapers, continue getting more and more upgrades, and just continue building up your economy as well. Just keep producing them. Because if Zerg is not able to really get a ton of creep spread out and you can continuously push them back, they're not going to be able to really drone up their third base at all. And if that's the case, you should be able to eventually overpower them as long as your micro is on point. And I think that's the real key. I've tried doing this myself as well in a game. Let me just tell you that it went less than ideal, less than perfect. The thing is that Reapers are just extremely difficult to control properly, and they're not a very easy unit to micro. So look, +1 infantry armor starts up right now as well. Reapers, by the way, do benefit from those upgrades. Not just Marines, not just Marauders. Other units as well. But look, he continuously scans to try and get rid of those creep tumors. And even though right here, once again, right, sort of is trying to set up a surround, because of this map layout, he's actually capable of jumping up towards the high ground and prevent these Reapers from dealing maximum amount of damage. Now look at some of these really sexy grenades that he's throwing out there, okay? Really cool play. A lot of the Zerglings were committed to the main base, trying to force those Reapers into a position where they can easily be surrounded. But uThermal is completely abusing the map's terrain, using this set of mineral patches over here, using that little corner inside of the main as well. And he makes this look absolutely ridiculous. Like, the amount of value right here that these Reapers are getting is insane. Obviously, they heal up outside of combat as well, meaning that they're continuously providing value as long as they stay alive. So let's have a look right there at the resources lost right now. It was in favor of Zerk, or I guess in favor of Terran just a little bit ago, but only barely, with like 100 or so resources in total. Right now, all of a sudden, though, a couple minutes down the line, even though it looked like sort of was getting the surround of a lifetime there, right? All of a sudden, like, once again, it looks like he's getting the surround of a lifetime. Once again, these Reapers are providing so much value here for the Terran. Hold position micro right there to try and prevent these links from getting the wraparound. And now all of a sudden, more and more of these units are coming in from different angles as well. Now this move right here, a little bit unfortunate. A bunch of these Reapers will go down if I'm not mistaken. But if we look right here on that production tab, look at this. Just look at it, okay? When's the last time you've seen a game where it's actually a serious tournament match, where there's actually money on the line, and you have a pro gamer going up to, how many barracks is that right now? He's got currently 11 of them, and then 3 more in production. So he's currently going up to 14 racks a Reaper in a serious game of Terran versus Zerk. It's kind of silly. I think the real key here in this game, though, has been those upgrades, right? It's very easy to get carried away and not go for the infantry upgrades when you're playing Mass Reaper. But in this game, they are providing a lot of value. Basically, every single shot right here of these Terran units is gonna have an additional 1 damage, which is very significant. And I actually think it may be due to the fact that they're shooting with 2 guns as well on either of their hands, right? They might actually get +1 damage on each of these shots. But since this is such an uncommon strategy, I'm not even really sure exactly how much of a damage improvement they truly get. I'm assuming it's actually +2 then for every +1 upgrade. Obviously, having that +1 infantry armor upgrade as well is really cool, because that essentially now allows uThermal here to take far less damage from these Zerglings. Every single little bite from these links is gonna deal 1 less damage. Still, though, sort of is doing a good job right here holding on. He managed to get a bunch of workers over at his third. He's now trying to do some counterattacks as well, although the Reapers are just picking those up. But once again, he's continuously dancing right here on the edge of the creep. And if he's dancing on the edge of the creep, he can keep these units alive for a very long time. And some of this micro is extremely difficult to pull off. Alright, so look right there on the production tab. When's the last time you've seen that? I don't think I've ever seen that before. I mean, there's been some players out there that do them, like the Reaper play, that is, as like a proxy play, right? That was pretty popular. I know that Beyond, for example, ended up doing a really good job with that. Back in, like, I think this was 2016 when he ended up winning BlizzCon because of it. But look at Reapers. Right now, looking to try and kill a hatchery. It's pretty insane. By the way, Björn, widely considered to be the best Terran microer in the world. He's currently doing his military service. So, in Korea, even though... oh, there's bailing speed, by the way. See if that makes a bit of a difference. There's so many grenades, though. It doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, he has to do his mandatory military service over in South Korea right now. But look at the group of Reapers. So, it's currently 43 Reapers that are available here for the Terran. And it makes it look utterly broken. So the funny part is, about these KD8 charges, right? The little grenades that these Reapers throw forward. It doesn't actually just deal a bunch of damage and bounces the unit back, but it's also in a way like a little mini stun. Notice right there, whenever these Banelings jump, they also actually are in what seems to be like a moment of stasis. Now finally, uThermal manages to, or rather sort of right here, manages to push this Terran player into the corner here. And even though these Banelings finally connect, let us have a look right here at the resources lost tab. Just a pure army based around the Reaper is providing him like 2,500 resources of net benefit. Now finally, he does now decide to make that switch from producing, I think it was like, what was the top? Like 17 Barracks Reaper or something ridiculous like that. He does finally start up transitioning right here towards double infantry weapon upgrades for +2/+2, and then also combat shield and stim pack. But in the post-game interview, uThermal actually mentioned that no, he wins the vast majority of the games just playing Mass Reaper. If it wasn't for the fact that he's going up against one of the stronger Zerg players in Europe, he probably would have been able to close out this game with ease. Right now, there's actually so many Reapers still available as well. He decided to split them up. Anyways, this has been a couple minutes right now, and sort of has tried his very best to get some value here and to tech up towards those Mutalisk. The Mutas obviously are the end-all, be-all answer, but the thing is, teching up to them too quickly it would basically allow these Reapers to get free reign of the map, because that would mean less Zerglings and therefore also less Queens, and all of that is just going to be a very, very large disaster if that continues going on. And if you don't tech up to them at all, obviously these Reapers are going to continuously deal damage. Now already this push has been anticipated here by uThermal, who's now finishing up +2/+2 upgrades. He's got himself a very healthy economy here, secured that 4th command center here on the low ground too, and he now has that Marine army ready to go as well. So even though this looks like a strategy, that's a bit of a meme. Apparently if your micro is good enough, you can make mass Reaper work on maps where you can wall off the natural and where you have a big ledge that's capable of jumping into the main base. And then I guess last but not least, also a relatively short distance to travel from your side of the map towards the other side of the map. And if your micro is good enough, you can actually get some ridiculous value out of all of these units here. These jetpack raiders. I'm a little disappointed that uThermal did actually transition right here towards Marines. I mean, it makes sense. You don't want to make any absolutely ridiculous calls. But in total, right? He has made a silly amount of Reapers in this game. And it's actually been providing him a stupid amount of value. So here we go. The Marine army's ready to go. Look at the pre-splits. Look at these splits. Kind of silly, right? Look at these splits. How are you going to surround that with Zerglings? How are you going to hit them with the Banelings? I mean, the Banelings right now trying to come in from the back. Once again, some glorious micro right here by the Terran player. A lot of it does get cleaned up, but there's just going to be so much more where that came from. The Reapers right here on the right-hand side decided to jump in, go after the base that was previously the 3rd. 14 Marines right now are coming up at any given moment, and that just simply means that the macro here for uThermal has gotten out of control. Whenever you're in a game where Terran is significantly ahead when it comes to the economy, and then also when it comes to the unit production, you know you're in trouble when you're a Zerg player, especially when you're still stuck on Mutaling Bane. So I'll speed up the final portion of this match. But yeah, this is a strategy that apparently is considered to be viable right here by the Dutch Terran player. Once again, some decent micro here. A couple of Widow Mines joining the fray too. These Banelings are ready to morph in, but good splits there. Good control on those Widow Mines. Solid target firing, and sort of eventually GG's out. Alright, so just because I was curious myself, I want to know the exact amount of Reapers that have been made in this, I don't know, like 14 or so minute long game. So I decided to open up a different UI interface. By the way, for those of you curious, the one that I'm usually using in these videos, I get a lot of questions about it. It is called the WCS 3.01. Highly recommend checking that one out. It's just built into the game. There's no fancy file that you need to download. But anyways, this little overlay pops up with Shift+L. Very useful when you're analyzing your own game, so you can see exactly how much has been lost, as the default overlay does not have it. But anyways, I want to see the exact amount of Reapers that were made in this game and how many of them were killed, right? Here's a question though that I've got for you guys. So Terran has obviously the Reaper that can technically be microed with unlimited potential, right? I mean, technically speaking, if you micro really well, the Reaper should be able to stay alive quite easily. The Protoss players obviously have the Stalker. Stalker kind of fulfills a similar role. I mean, you can't really play them the same way as you do the Reaper, and not in the Terran versus Zerg matchup, or in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup, I suppose, but you can't really play them in the exact same way. Zerg sadly doesn't really have a unit like that, right? At the very least, it doesn't feel like that to me. I mean, technically speaking, maybe Zerglings, but microing a lot of the Zerg fights, especially with early game units, more or less come down to choosing where the engagement happens and then just simply hands off and attack moving. Maybe Burrow micro is one of them. Maybe you could try and make an argument for that, but there certainly is no denying that, yeah, Reapers and Stalkers are available quite early on into the game. And I would like to go ahead and play some of those styles myself as well as a Zerg player. Anyways, so here we go. We're approaching the final segment here of the game. And it looks like, in total, 84 Reapers were made, where normally in this matchup, we really only see like one, maybe two if it's a crazy match. In this one though, we had 84, and you can see the value right here that they provided, right? That value that they really created right here. Keep in mind, right, since Reapers only cost 50 minerals and 50 gas, you can usually expand behind it extremely aggressively. So that's the reason. I mean, one of the bases here got killed, but that's the reason why uThermal on the back of this expanded all over the place and put down command centers and then a ton of additional barracks all over the place as well. That's also the reason why I decided to not go into any additional reactors or tech labs or anything along those lines, just because that would actually bite into his Reaper production. Anyways, a bit of a different game here today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I want to feature more crazy strategies, and this one is the one that was in my mind for a couple weeks now. It's been a pretty silly game. I tried executing it myself. It did not work nearly as well, but maybe some of you are willing to give it a try as well. For now, though, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.